Hi, my name is Madison. I'm a biomedical engineer, and this is why I do not believe in God.
For those of you who don't know, a biomedical engineer is someone who designs medical equipment for medical use. So example would be like insulin pumps or pacemakers or artificial hearts, that type of thing.
I want to start by saying this clearly because it matters the most. My atheism is not rooted in any anger, rebellion, or a desire to provoke. It is not a reaction to a personal trauma, and it is not the result of an ignorance or a lack of exposure to religion.
And so I actually appreciate that right off the bat, she's weeding out what she's heard a lot. There are a lot of things that are common causes for someone to choose atheism. And so she's really going to get to the heart of the issue. So let's see what it is.
It is the direct result of reflection, evidence, and a refusal to accept explanations that stop making sense once they are closely examined.
And so my hypothesis is not that the evidence that she's looked at is lacking in credibility or veracity, but rather she comes to a conclusion based off of preconceived ideas.
Atheism at its core is not a belief system, it's not considered a religion, and it most precisely does not tell you how to live your life.
Well, I'm going to disagree with all three of those, because a religion is a set of beliefs by which you guide your life. You are literally making decisions believing there is no God. So while you think you are lacking religion, it is a religion of its own. It's a religion of no God. Just because you don't bow down or sing songs doesn't mean it doesn't qualify. But perhaps we just need to agree to disagree on this one.
It makes no positive claims about the universe.
Oh, sure it does. It says there cannot be a God. You didn't say you were agnostic. You didn't say you didn't know. You said you're atheist, which means you believe the evidence says there is no God. So you are making a statement about this universe, that there is no God within it or outside of it or that transcends it.
It simply says, I am not convinced that a God exists.
Well, being not convinced is more along the lines of agnostic. But keep going.
Everything else, the ethics, meaning, responsibility, moral codes, all comes from outside that absence, not from it.
Right, but believing there is no God does allow you to make up your own moral code. So you're still affected by your beliefs.
And atheism is nothing new to this world. Doubt did not begin with the modern science that we have. It has existed for as long as humans have told the stories about gods.
Well, actually, the first doubt was told by Satan in the garden, but you probably don't believe that one.
Even within Christian history, belief has always coexisted with the questioning. I understand this Christian perspective that God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all good, that faith is considered virtuous, and that morality is often grounded in some divine authority.
Okay, cool. I like her honesty, and she's definitely given this a lot of thought.
And I recognize this framework, I just do not find it coherent when compared to the world we actually live in.
Okay, so let's tackle that.
One of the biggest reasons for that is the problem of evil. If God is all powerful, then he has the ability to prevent suffering. If God is all good, then he would want to prevent suffering. And yet suffering is everywhere.
And so your preconceived idea is that this world and this existence is all that matters. And that's why it's flawed. See, this life does not matter as much as you think because eternity is what follows. From our perspective, the evil we have to endure now is just something that gets us to where we are going to live forever. It's like the story of Job. If Job was real and went through those terrible things, and now he's up in heaven, do you think he's looking down wishing he had had those few years a little better? Or do you think he's grateful he's with his God? As scripture tells us, the trials of this life are not fit to be compared with the glory that is yet to be revealed. So I understand that if this life is all that matters to you, and if this life is all you think there is, then yeah, it looks like God's very unfair. But if you going through a terrible time gets you to an eternity of bliss, wouldn't that be worth it? And that spells out Romans 8:28. For we know that all things work to the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So even if we don't understand how it works to our good, he's proven himself trustworthy in so many other areas that I can extend trust to him in the areas I don't understand.
Children die from aggressive cancers, genetic diseases are destroying bodies before people ever have the chance to live fully. We have earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes that wipe out entire communities without discrimination. And we have mass shootings happening in schools, grocery stores, and even places of worship.
So as far as the things that were done by people, let's say God didn't exist, then who do we blame for those things? You blame the people, right? But yet when we say that God exists, then we want to blame him for everything just because he didn't stop it. Just because you don't understand his wisdom doesn't mean it isn't there. And just because you don't understand how this works to someone's good doesn't mean it isn't. Because again, the end result is what matters. The end result of eternity will far outweigh whatever we've been through in this life. And that includes even the natural disasters.
These are not considered to be rare exceptions. They are built into reality itself.
Well, kind of. So, yes, it is common, and yes, it's every day. But it's not built that way by God. See, it's a warping of what's true. Sin and evil is not a substance. Sin and evil is a lack of godliness. It's a lack of being like God. And so God built the perfect system. But the moment that Adam and Eve sinned, they lacked God, and they passed that lacking of God onto us. And every time we choose not to act like God, then sin or harm or evil happens. So it's not that the system was designed that way. The system's been flawed, corrupted, warped, whatever you want to say, but it's not how it was meant.
When this suffering is explained away as part of God's plan, the explanation collapses.
Well, I feel like I've already proven that wrong.
A plan that requires unnecessary and indiscriminate suffering.
Define unnecessary. See, you are assuming you know as much as God does. You're looking at a situation from a finite perspective saying that was unnecessary. But you don't know that. You don't know what was going on in those people's lives. You don't know how that event affects everybody else around the world. So your preconceived idea is that you know everything, or at least enough about the situation to determine that it's not necessary. But you don't.
Especially of children and innocent people cannot reasonably be called good.
Well, the problem is you don't understand that we deserve so much worse than that. See, yes, he's a good God, and yes, he's loving, but he's also just. We deserve to be thrown into the lake of fire the first moment that we sin. And yet, he gives us time to choose him, to receive his rescue plan. So, yeah, it's all unfair. It's unfair to God. He literally sent his son to die a torturous death just so that you might say yes to him. He's not asking a lot.
At that point, God is neither not all powerful, not all good, or not real.
Or you don't have enough information and you're assuming you do.
That conclusion is not based on my emotions. It is based simply on the logical explanation.
Based on your preconceived ideas.
Science does not ask me to suspend my reasonings in moments like this.
Actually, many times it does. Anytime there's a hypothesis, you need to look at it independently and then see if it holds up in repeatable manners. Many times science has disproved its previous thoughts, and in order to disprove something, you have to let go of the old idea.
The scientific method is a structured way of understanding reality.
Physical reality. You can't test the spiritual realm. And before you think that sounds like, fairy tale stuff, the spirit realm is nothing more than a dimension beyond our three. There is a dimension to existence beyond our comprehension. It's like a 2D person trying to figure out a 3D world.
It relies on observation, measurement, testability, falsifiability, peer review, and reproducibility.
And if God were physical, you could put those tests up, but he's not. Jesus specifically tells us that God is spirit.
Scientific claims must be open to being proven wrong. They must change when the evidence changes.
Okay, so you just confirmed what I said before. Cool.
It is not a flaw within science. It is how, as a scientific community, we stick to intellectual honesty and integrity.
Right, as long as you're not biased in your conclusions. I agree.
Through science, we can explain the universe without ever needing a God.
Then how did everything bang at the beginning? You still believe in one miracle. You still believe that there is an uncaused action, which defies all that we know about scientific principles. You still need a cause at the beginning.
Cosmology shows us that the universe began in an extremely hot, dense state governed by physical laws.
But something still has to act on that. It doesn't just suddenly explode for no reason. That's not how physics works.
Planetary science tells us that the Earth was not created as a finished, peaceful place. It began as a molten, hostile mass that shaped over billions of years by gravity, radiation, and collision.
Yeah, let's talk about those billions of years. Do you know how they date the layers of rock? By the fossils they find in them. Do you know how they date the fossils? By the layers of rock they find them in. It's circular dating. They can come up with whatever dates they want that fits the model they like. That's why it used to be millions of years and now it's billions of years. They keep adding time to fit the model. And in fact, the fossil record actually supports the biblical narrative that there was a sudden explosion of life. That wouldn't happen in a gradual process.
This is where the Bible directly contradicts factual evidence.
Wrong, not evidence, theory. We have the same evidence you do, and you have a theory about where it all came from. And we come to different conclusions. We come to different theories. So if you want to call it evidence, sure, but it's our evidence too. What you really don't have is proof, and that's how you're using the word evidence.
Genesis describes Earth being created in days with a seventh day of rest, but the Earth was never at rest. It was once too hot, too violent, and too unstable to support life.
It's at rest now. God's not still making new things that didn't exist before. It means he was done creating.
The Bible describes light existing before the sun.
Right, because the existence of something has to happen before the source of it. I know this is weird to you, but if you create a sun but you didn't create light itself, the sun wouldn't radiate anything. He had to literally create photons. That's not a problem for us, especially with Revelation telling us that God is going to be the source of light for the new earth.
And plants existing before the sun as well. Yet physics and biology clearly tell us that light, energy, and photosynthesis require stars.
Even if God wasn't literal light, it's one day. Do all of your plants die after one day of no light?
These are not some sort of metaphorical issue that I'm pulling from nowhere. They are physical impossibilities.
If you have preconceived ideas.
Evolutionary biology further challenges the idea of humans as a sudden, separate creation.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how every supposed link between man and primate has been proven to be a hoax. Every single one. Why do people have to lie and manufacture evidence to if their theory is so obviously true? And beyond that, we're missing a lot more links than just between primate and man. We're missing millions and millions of links between all the different species of the world. And yet, we don't find any fossils of half-formed beings that are trying to develop their lungs or anything like that. They're all fully functioning 100%. The only difference is anything with a mutation, which is a loss of information. You cannot develop evolution through mutation because mutation's a loss of information. You cannot gain information in your DNA.
We have genetic evidence that shows shared ancestry between species.
Answers in Genesis has a lot of good theories on that. They're called kinds in the Bible on the ark.
And we have geology that records billions of years of Earth's history layered into rock.
Yeah, and what about this tree that goes right up through those millions of years? They really don't like that picture.
And these explanations work because they are testable.
No, they work because you have preconceived ideas and you keep changing the goalpost every time your theory changes.
And they do not require a God to function.
Perhaps, but they require a God to start it all.
There is also no empirical evidence for God.
Because he's not finite.
There are no testable predictions, no measurable signs, and no reproducible observations.
So, if he's not of this universe, but outside of it because he created it, then it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to do that.
God exists entirely outside the standards of evidence we use to justify every other serious claim about reality, from medicine to engineering to physics.
Okay, explain how a body heals. Or better yet, explain how life existed before the body learned how to heal, before it evolved healing abilities.
That does not prove God does not exist, but it does mean belief is not supported by evidence.
Depends on your evidence. There's a lot of historical evidence of Jesus Christ himself. In fact, it's on par with Roman emperors. So if the credibility of his existence is there, then I can extend it into the credibility of the Gospels, recordings of what he said. And if that proves credible, then I better start believing him. It's a chain of evidence, just not in your field. But then again, there are a lot of scientists who have come to faith through science. They saw the evidence, the fingerprints of God.
And then when it comes to faith, faith is often described as trust or hope, but in practice, it is belief without evidence, or belief maintained despite contradictory evidence.
Wrong again. You're talking about blind faith, which is not at all what the Bible requires. It's not just, I said so, therefore you must believe. Faith is built on a fragment of truth. This has proven true, so therefore I'll believe that. So if my God has proven himself to me in this area, I can trust him in that area. It's pretty simple. All of creation is evidence that there is a God, the perfect design of it all. Therefore, I can trust other areas.
Faith asks us to stop asking questions when answers become uncomfortable. And for me, this is not a pathway to truth. It is a way to preserve that belief.
God has never told us to not ask questions. There are times when he wants us to trust him, but that's different. You're allowed to ask him whatever questions you want. And there's many answers to be found. The people who stop asking questions are the people who don't want answers. It's the people who have preconceived ideas and come up with theories that fit the mold, like evolution.
And I want to address morality. I do not behave ethically because I fear hell or hope for heaven.
Neither do I.
I do not need the threat of eternal punishment to be a good person.
There's those preconceived ideas again. Neither do I.
My morality is grounded within empathy, logic, and an understanding of consequences.
Well, I would say you have a fear of consequences then. But my morality is based off of gratitude. See, I understand who the creator of this universe is. He owns it all. He has sovereign right to say what the rules are. And out of gratitude for saving me, which he didn't have to do, then I will follow him. I will obey him. It's my way of saying thank you.
Science shows us that humans are social creatures. Cooperation, compassion, and fairness are what allow societies to function and survive.
Yep, we were made in God's image. How about that?
If someone is only good because they are being watched, that is not morality. It is a compliance.
True, and that's why it's not my motivator.
And I am a good person because I understand suffering, because I value human life.
That is not what makes you a good person. You're not a good person. Look at it this way. If you were living in someone else's house and the owner came home and said, hey, this is my house, and you spit in his face and say, nuh-uh, is that a good person? You are only a good person by your standards. God's standards are he himself, perfection. So living up to that? No, you're not. And that's why we all need a savior. Again, he's not asking for a lot. All you have to do is trust him to provide that sacrifice, that payment that you owe. It's all about justice.
And because reason tells me that reducing harm makes this world a better place.
But reason tells me that if there's nothing after this life, then who cares? Reason tells me I might as well just get what I can get and while I exist, because if I cease to exist afterward, it's not going to matter. It won't matter to me. So your reason falls apart because it's not lasting. It's not eternal. It doesn't have consequences after your death.
Religion, in my view, is a human response to uncertainty.
Most of them.
It offers comfort in the face of death, randomness, and the unknown. I understand why that would be appealing.
And atheists don't have comfort in the face of death by believing they'll pass into nothing? There are many who take great comfort in that because they know how sinful they are.
But comfort is not evidence, and reassurance is not the truth.
Just like a lack of evidence is not evidence. Just because God has not given you a photograph of himself doesn't mean he's not there. Again, he's not a physical being.
And that does not mean that I think religious people are unintelligent or immoral.
Well, I appreciate that.
Cultural context matters. Belief is often shaped by family, tradition, and the community surrounding.
Or a rejection of it.
I respect people's rights to believe what gives their lives meaning. What I ask for in return is the same respect for my refusal to accept claims without evidence.
You're welcome to live your life without caring. That's fine. But look at it this way. What if you were blind and you told me, I don't care if a car hits me, I don't want you to save me. Would I be a good person if I just let you get hit by a car anyway? Or should I, if I truly care about you, try to save you?
I'm not attacking anyone's faith. I'm just simply declining it.
And that is your choice.
I welcome open dialogue, not to win, not to mock, but simply to understand, ask questions, challenge ideas, and I let them fall or stand on their own merits.
And that's great. So I hope you can do that without preconceived ideas.
Truth does not fear examination.
I agree.